I missed the last bus because I forgot to grab something, came back home. By the time I got home, the bus went past. Like 10 minutes. Can you hear that? It's the sound of the back door squeaking open. And what do? How can we use, everything that they want us to fight against is a back door that gives us access into everything. The ASIO bill. Oh, it's a terrible thing. Not if we bring the charges as we the people. See? Instead of worrying about it being used against us, walk straight through that back door. Let them go. Let them do it. Go, okay, cool. I know this. I know that. Are you going to investigate it? Make them investigate themselves in public. It's a doable thing, people. It's a doable thing.
Virginia Giuffre's case files finally to be unsealed. 90,000 pages that were part of this lawsuit. The discovery contained damning evidence against Epstein, Maxwell, and other men.
Covering what the corporate media covers up.
As many as 90,000 pages of the Epstein files have been ordered to be unsealed, released by a federal judge. I'm JT Siskowski with Status Coup. This information comes from the preeminent reporter when it comes to Jeffrey Epstein, that being Julie K. Brown of the Miami Herald. She was the one who brought Jeffrey Epstein's abuse back to light back in 2018 that eventually led to Jeffrey Epstein being arrested and all of the fallout that we have seen in the years, nearly decade, since her reporting first went live. And this is actually reporting again from Julie K. Brown. Virginia Giuffre's case files finally to be unsealed. Miami Herald set a landmark legal and journalistic precedent in its fight to unseal the civil lawsuit, what it means. And it means quite a lot. Last week, a federal court in Manhattan ordered the release of the voluminous case files from Virginia Giuffre's 2015 civil lawsuit against Ghislaine Maxwell. So I just want to point out, this is not anything that the Department of Justice was just sitting on. This is not information that the Trump administration is currently covering up. That is being dealt with by a wholly separate lawsuit brought by Katie Fang, the independent reporter who we have interviewed on this program before. No, this is from Virginia Giuffre's civil case that she brought against Ghislaine Maxwell after Ghislaine Maxwell tried to assert that that Virginia Giuffre was not actually a victim of Jeffrey Epstein. And so there have been a lot of these files now just sitting under seal in court that this judge is now releasing. Julie Brown writes, our attorneys believe there will be some new material in these files if and when the DOJ decides to release them. The documents will not be released by the court or the parties. Instead, they are documents in DOJ's possession that it reviewed pursuant to the Epstein Transparency Act. The DOJ will likely need some time to redact, then will hopefully release on its own timeline. We could see, for example, full deposition transcripts, responses to interrogatories, documents exchanged privately between the parties, etc. So even though these documents were already in the Trump administration's hand, its hand was tied by the courts. The judge in the lawsuit had ordered that these case files be sealed, that they could not be released public. Now a judge overturning that. And let's get into actually some more specifics on what could be in these files, or exactly how much of it there is, and the dangers, of course, allowing Trump's Department of Justice to have oversight over what is released here. So Boyce Schiller, that's the law firm that represented Virginia Giuffre, provided 90,000 pages of documents to the government, including both of Maxwell's deposition transcripts. Up until now, we've only seen portions of the material. But then again, the DOJ's redaction police could either withhold or redact large swaths of these court files. Still, this is nevertheless a victory for transparency, with the court ruling that these files should be made public. There is no reason now to withhold them. But then again, Attorney General Todd Blanche has yet to release the 3 million or so files still being kept secret by the Trump administration. And make no mistake about it, the reason that Todd Blanche is now the Attorney General in this country is because he is Donald Trump's former personal attorney and oversaw the Epstein files cover-up within the Trump administration, according to all of the reporting that we have on this case so far. That's why he is in the position of power that he has. So the likelihood that he would use it to continue to cover up for his boss seems high to me. I am not going to hold my breath that there is necessarily going to be damning information about Donald Trump to come out about this, especially since Virginia Giuffre, whose case around which this is centered, said that she was never trafficked to Donald Trump. So it's likely that there are few mentions of the president in these files, regardless. But now we have to look forward to what comes next in this case. And it will be on the Department of Justice to release information. And that is why Katie Fang is currently suing the Trump administration to try and force their hand to release more information. And a judge has so far sided with Katie Fang in trying to get the federal government to release even more of the Epstein files, including some that are related to a credible accuser of President Donald Trump of sexually and physically abusing a woman who would have been around 13 to 15 years old at the time of the story that she alleges that happened back in the early to mid 1980s at the hands of Donald Trump. Returning here to Julie K. Brown, giving some background, the lawsuit, this being the lawsuit that was brought by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell for defamation, the lawsuit was settled in early 2017. I have been told the discovery contained damning evidence against Epstein, Maxwell, and other men, and that it was worth trying to get the courts to unseal the documents on the grounds that they were never properly sealed in the first place. Nearly all of the evidence that Virginia's lawyers uncovered about Epstein and Maxwell sex trafficking that came out during the civil case was kept secret. So if more of these files are going to come to the public's attention, well, there is the possibility of then finding more information about some of these alleged co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein. And again, here in the United States, no one has been charged aside from Epstein and Maxwell themselves. No one has been charged directly for being a co-conspirator. It is apparently just Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell who were at the center of all of this wrongdoing. They were the only ones who knew anything.
Okay.
They were the only ones who brought harm to these girls. No, there was...
Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up. But, I think we got plenty in Australia that have been connected to this through the pimp and hose, the PhD, the School of PhD. How can pimp and hose be applied to anything in life? You could apply it to property, couldn't you, Scott Kuru?
The whole system at play here that needs to be brought to justice as well. And some of the information here from Julie K. Brown begins to shed light on that. An appeals court eventually ruled in our favor. Julie K. Brown is using "our" here because she and her outlet, the Miami Herald, intervened in the case that was brought by Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, arguing that some of these files should be released. So the judge here siding in her favor, and on August 9th, 2019, thousands of pages were made public, including sworn statements by Virginia in which she alleged she was trafficked to Alan Dershowitz, who represented Epstein, former Prince Andrew, former Maine Senator George Mitchell, former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, hedge fund manager Glenn Dubin, hotel magnate Tom Pritzker, the late MIT scientist Marvin Minsky. All of the men denied that they were involved with Giuffre. Epstein was found dead in his Manhattan jail cell the following morning. Epstein's death was immediately ruled a suicide without any investigation, based on the word of one guard who was later charged with falsifying reports, a move which the public should still question to this day. And this is what makes Julie K. Brown such an excellent writer about the Epstein files, is that she notes all of the timelines involved here, particularly around the timing of Jeffrey Epstein's death and when it came, right, as so much of this was about to hit the fan.
If you're watching this, you are on a very short list, and we are going to tell you why.
This is not a general.
Still, despite the victory, this was only a fraction of the material that was part of the lawsuit. A reminder here that it was 90,000 pages that were part of this lawsuit. So the fact that thousands were released, great, but the vast majority still not. But now a judge saying they do have to be released. The judge in this case created a labyrinth process to decide what other documents should be made public. Each person named in the files was given a J. Doe number, and for years, hundreds of these files have been reviewed, with the judge acting as the arbiter of whose name is released and whose name is kept secret. In 2024, a new cache of material was released, but the judge allowed a few of the J. Doe names remain sealed, reasoning they were classic outsiders peripheral to the events at issue, who are not associated with Epstein and Maxwell. And this is where we come back to the Katie Fang lawsuit, which is directly challenging the Department of Justice's decision about whose names are redacted in the Epstein files, particularly people who could be co-conspirators, and is asking a court to step in and force the Trump Department of Justice to release much of that information. So these new pages that contain seemingly references to other co-conspirators and Katie Fang's lawsuit means that we could be about to get a lot more specific information on this case. We've been following both of these lawsuits here at Status Coup, in addition to everything else that comes out about the Epstein files. If that is something that you want to follow and think that there should be more of in our current media landscape, go to statuscoup.com/join for as low as $5.
Right, it's enough of this sales pitch. I've got to go. However, let the ASIO bill go. Let it go through. Let it go. Beg for it. We can reverse engineer that as people. Cool. I'll sing like a fucking canary. All right. Yeah, all right, Daniel. Hang on. I'm coming. Gotta go.